Hey guys, this is Melanie Daly, your back pain personal trainer. Today for the Daily, we are talking about pain, which we normally talk about, but today we're talking really about the truth about pain, and I really wanted to get clear on what pain really is, because there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and it can be really confusing, and it can be frustrating, and if you have pain, it's like you're trying to understand, you're trying to read all this stuff. What can I do right now to help my pain, because I've been there, and you're like, I just need a fix. But there is a lot of conflicting information out there, which can sort of stall us. It's like, well, I don't know what to do, so I guess I'll do nothing. So I'm here to sort of simplify it, break it down for you, and hopefully help you start to identify some areas of your own life that you can start to take action on immediately in order to start diminishing your pain and really just start getting back to those things that you love, because that's what this is all about, right? So we're going to use a couple analogies to talk about pain and our body today. So something I talk about a lot is called the pain bucket, okay? So think about a bucket, and it's just some random bucket that you have maybe in your backyard, and maybe it has some gardening tools in it, and let's say you left it out in the backyard, and then there was some rainstorm that came along. So there was some wind, and so first you had those gardening tools in there, and then maybe some leaves and some debris starts to be blown into that bucket. So things start kind of piling up, and then it starts to really downpour. So that bucket is really getting filled, and everything is fine, right? Until that last raindrop hits, and it's enough to send everything flowing over the edges, overflowing. Now, pain is very similar in that we can have all these diverse factors in our life contributing to this pain bucket that is sort of filling it up unknowingly. So everything seems fine. Suddenly we get this random pain, but really it's not that random, because we've had all this stuff building up underneath the surface until that last raindrop. So that last raindrop could be some sort of stressor you had going on in your life, and then all of a sudden you bent over and kind of did a movement that your body didn't like for whatever reason. And then when you went to pick up that piece of paper, throw out that tissue, then your back randomly went out. But I want to take a little bit of a closer look at this pain bucket, and then we'll talk about something else after too. So I have a little diagram here, so I'm going to hold it close to the camera here so you can see. So this is our bucket that we were just talking about. So as you can see, let's say maybe you have just 1 or 2 or 3 of these stressors going on down here. Everything seems fine, and life's fine, not a big deal. But then they really start building up, and it sort of becomes this perfect storm. And until this last one hits and sends everything flowing over the edge and creating that sensation of pain, you thought you were fine beforehand. But then you get that pain when the system really becomes sensitized. So that's the next thing that we need to discuss, is the system and why this pain starts to overflow once we get all these things happening up. Someone just joined in here, so let me just show this pain bucket again. So we're talking about the pain bucket, and you can rewatch the video to make sure you can get a full understanding of this. But now we're going to shift gears into why this pain spills over the edge in this pain bucket. So I liken our nervous system to a faulty smoke detector. So let's say you have all this stuff going on, and we didn't really talk through the specifics yet. So in this pain bucket, sorry, the light's bad, we have so previous injury, that's a big one. Let's say you have a weakened immune system. Maybe you haven't been sleeping that well, and then you had a fight with your spouse. Maybe you have a new job, and maybe that new job is not very active. You're sitting at your desk all day, and or maybe you have a new commute and you're driving more. So sedentary, not moving as much, not as much time for exercise. Maybe you have some muscular imbalances for whatever reason based on your previous physical activity. Some joints are not working very optimally. Like a lot of people these days, another thing that could be adding to this pain bucket, these are all things that are adding to this pain bucket. Another thing could be just rumination, a really hyperactive, overactive mind. So you feel like you can never turn your brain off. That's a stressor too. Lack of social support. So maybe you move to a new place and you don't really have any friends, or maybe you have a group of friends, but you're kind of having a falling out with them. Yeah, these are all things that can add to this pain bucket. So when we talk about our nervous system and this faulty smoke detector, any of these can sensitize that system. So when you think about a smoke detector, let's say, you had this incident one time and there was a fire. So you were cooking and then, things got out of hand and there was a flame, and that smoke detector started sending an alarm off because there was a threat, there was fire. So it wanted to alert you. So now, let's say the fire's fine, everything's fine, back to normal. But now every time you cook, even if, everything's fine, it's just sort of a hot flame, there's not really any smoke, nothing going on, the alarm still goes off. So this is the same thing that actually happens in our body. If our body is already sensitized, then it's very prone to sending off pain. So let's say you only have a couple of these factors going on. Your system is already sensitized. So when you add another one on, that's when that pain spills over the edge, because the whole system has become sensitized. So now basically the system is somewhat broken and faulty. So anytime you have another extra raindrop falling in that bucket, then pain can flow over the edges. So pain bucket and then faulty smoke detector. So basically our system has been overloaded with all these various stressors from life that are really unbeknownst to us because they've been under the surface of this bucket. And then now our system has just become really sensitized. So anytime one stressor sort of sends us, one stressor just enters our life, then our system is already on high alert mode. And so it's very vulnerable to sending off pain signals. So this is really interesting because a lot of people talk about pain and they're really only talking about the physical part of it, okay? So structural damage. Obviously, when you have an acute injury and you sprain your ankle, you're feeling pain because something actually happened and your body wants you to alter your behavior so that you don't continue to hurt yourself. It's trying to protect you. But now when we talk about pain, a lot of people, they're still focusing on that very structural, only physical aspect of pain. But pain really is influenced by so many things. So in this day and age, we're very sensitized to pain because we tend to have a lot of these stressors going on underneath the surface. So it's actually quite powerful when you discover these things, because you can take a look at your own pain bucket, if you will. Oh, hey, Pete. So you can look at your own pain bucket and say, well, let's take a look at all the stressors that could be happening in my life. Did I just have a fight with my spouse? And maybe I've been sitting a lot, and maybe I've been thinking about this new job that I have. And maybe I haven't been eating well either. And then all of a sudden I tried to do this one exercise and then I got hurt. Well, it wasn't necessarily the exercise itself. It was the culmination of all those things that led to your body saying, let's send off a pain signal because we need to fix the system here. So just remembering that pain really is a signal to get you to change something, telling you that the system hasn't really adapted to the current situation. So now it's really cool because you can take a look at all those things that are going on and start to say, which areas do I need to focus on so that I'm not so vulnerable to pain? So some of us tend to be more vulnerable if we have these things going on. A lot of my clients, we tend to see parallels that they're very empathetic, worrisome people who really put a lot of people before themselves. They're really great people, but they tend to just be in their heads a lot. And this is myself included too. So that's a huge stressor, and that leads these people to be more vulnerable to pain, especially once they compile maybe lack of quality movement and things like that. So it's really great when I work with people because we can really start to dig deep into all these different areas that we can start to work on to lower your threshold for pain. So I hope that explains it a bit more and gives you more areas that you can think about working on to manage your pain. So just think about that. The mental stressors, that's a big deal. Anytime, think about when you had a back flare up or a random pain, chances are there was something else going on in your life at that time. So start to think backwards and sort of reverse engineer this and maybe see, where did that come from? And if you've had a previous injury, that will definitely make you more vulnerable as well. But there are all these tools that we can use to start to incorporate more mindfulness and stress relief, exercises on a daily basis, actual exercises to feed your body the movement it needs if there are a ton of muscular imbalances going on, so that your body is fully prepared for anything you do throughout the day. Releasing a lot of excess muscular tension, a lot of breathing exercises, all of these things are going to help lower that pain bucket down. So that's really what I do with my clients. We take a look at this pain bucket, say, what areas do we need to work on? And then we have exact strategies and tools to address all of those. So again, the stress management is a huge part of that. Releasing muscular tension through exercises that naturally put your body in a position that will finally let go of that muscular tension. Breathing is so powerful. I have a ton of videos on this. It addresses so many of these stressors at one time, which is why it is so great. I mean, it's physical, it's movement. It also activates the vagus nerve, which literally lowers your stress hormones, your stress cycle, your sympathetic tone, if you want to get sciencey here. Breathing improves digestion. It's just so integrated. So that's a huge tool that we use, not to be discounted. And I mean, the exercises are a huge part of it too, because our body naturally loves movement, and that feeds it and fuels a lot of these restorative processes that can lower this pain bucket too. And I have a bunch of videos on that too, specifically about all the powerful benefits of movement in and of itself, and why exercises, no matter how small or big, are so beneficial to lowering your vulnerability to pain and preventing it. So I hope this was helpful. Hey, Mike, you're always joining at the end, but we were just going through the pain bucket before, and I was just wrapping up here, just giving everyone a lot of tips and strategies on how to lower their vulnerability to pain by taking all of these stressors out of our pain bucket so that we can prevent pain. And like we've been talking about, just get back to doing the things you love, because that's what's really important here. Pain-free is great, but what it's really about, because I've been there, is wanting to get out there and run again, or hike again, or golf again. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this clarified it a lot for you, and feel free to post any questions. I'm happy to answer them. I would love to, and definitely share with anyone you know who is experiencing back pain, is kind of prone to back pain flare-ups, because I'd love to share this information with them so that they can, again, lower their risk for that pain, their vulnerability to that pain. So thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.